So the confrontation for the second time. Aaron walked in the second inning. He means the tying run at the plate now. So we'll see what Downing does. Al at the belt, delivers, and he's low. Ball one. And that just adds to the pressure. The crowd booing. Downing has to ignore the sound effects and stay a professional and pitch his game. 1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting. The outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone.
And Coach, if you could tell me the story about the timing about Hank Aaron, that'd be awesome.
Before Henry Aaron got sent to Milwaukee, I was with the School of Thieves and went from Daytona Beach to West Palm Beach, where the Braves at that time had spring training. And after we were done talking to Ralph Garr, whose name was the Roadrunner, he was great at manufacturing hits. All the School of Thieves fast base runners from Montreal were standing around, and we had taken 2 vans there, about 15 of us. And all of a sudden I look over and Henry Aaron is standing at the turtle shell waiting for his time to swing the bat. And I looked at my friends at that time. I said, I'm going to go talk to Aaron. And started laughing a little bit. So I inched up to the cage, got right next to him. And when I got there, I said, what do I say now? This is Henry Aaron. And somehow, some way, this thought jumped into my brain. And I said, Henry, how do you hit the ball so hard? And he looked back at me and said, well, I take the bat with my right hand. I throw it on the ball real hard. I'll show you. He stepped in and effortlessly with that right hand, I watched him just pick it up and drop the bat on the baseball as he let it get deep to him.
That was the first year that I started hitting for power, and the hitting coaches at the time in Miami were Barry Bonds and Frank Menechino. And obviously everybody who's watching this is going to know who Barry is. And, you know, regardless of your feelings, the guy that's hit more homers than anybody on planet Earth, you're going to listen. And he really knew a lot about the game. Like, anybody can go out there and hit a homer. Like, you can go deep in a game. And you can have no idea why. Like, yeah, sure, I hit the ball hard and it went over the fence. And by definition, that's a home run. But why did that happen? Like, what allowed that to happen? And as a young player, I never really knew. I was like, oh, yeah, that felt good. That was a good swing. But why was it a good swing? We're in this cage and it's like tarped in and it's probably 120 in this thing. And I was trying to find it again. I was kind of struggling a little bit and trying to do some drills in the cage, and Barry was in there with me with Frank, and you know, I always thought as a young player, when I wanted to drive the ball, I would do it with my body, and by that I meant, like, you know, in BP, if you're like, all right, hit a homer, and your hip will fly, your front side will fly, everything, because you're just straight yank, and that's the complete opposite of what you want to do when you're trying to hit a homer. And so Barry got me in there and was like, hit this ball off the front of the plate, like the white part of the plate. And I was like, okay. You know? So I think he had Frank flip and he was watching. And so I'm spread out to my landing point. So if I did my leg kick and you stride out to where your foot landed, that's how wide I was. And I'm just sitting there, and it was a no stride drill, and it was just like, hit the front of the plate. And I was like, okay, cool. He throws me the ball, like, I try and chop this shit right off the front of the plate, and I hit it maybe 6 feet out in front of the plate, like, bounce and goes into the screen, whatever. And he goes, I said the front of the plate. I was like, oh shit, all right. So back again, hit it this time probably like 2 or 3 feet, and he was like, I said right off the plate. And I was like, I'm trying, dude. And so I do it again. I miss again, and he grabs the bat and he does it. He just pounding balls off the plate. And I'm like, what is going on right here? But I was like, yeah, I'm riding this out. Right. You're right. He grabbed it and he like showed me what he was talking about. So he pounded a few. He pounded a few off the plate. So all right, let's do that. So I get in, I start doing that. And then after a few of that, he's like, okay, now I want you to, chop it where I was originally, like 6-7 feet out there, like that. And we slowly did that, and we brought the ball up to probably about line drive level, where it was just like, and I still had that chopping feeling, but I wasn't actually like steep down, it was just like your path was so short and cleaned up. And it was his way of cleaning up his bat path when he played. And it's a feel, and thinking that of swing down, because you hear the swing down, some guys say that still, like if you hear the old school, or I wouldn't say old school, but A-Rod, Barry's, like these guys all talk about chipper, they all talk about swinging down, and that's why they're kind of against the Instagram, Twitter people, because they're so anti that. Yes. And if I hit a ball off the top of this cage in this drill, I might have got punched in the face. You know what I mean? Not literally, but it would have been just like a "what are you doing" moment. And so it was creating like true backspin. Like the ball was coming off, and I was trying to hit this bitch straight in the ground, and it was like opposite field, backspin missile, up the middle, backspin missile, pull side, backspin, like true pull side. And I was like, damn, like I'd never really done that before. And if I had, it was pure luck accident. And I never really understood it. I was always a guy that just hit and could feel when it felt good, not good. Sure. I just hit. I had no reasoning behind anything. And I was like, man, that feels pretty good. And like I was hitting against my front side in a sense of where like it wasn't leaking first before I went to swing. And that's why everything was so true. And I was short and I could pull the ball correctly instead of top spinning it or hooking it foul. And I took it in BP that day, and it was the best batting practice I'd probably ever had in my entire life. It was like just homers, like everywhere, all parts of the field.
Just landed by Andrew Heaney in that frame. Goes after the first pitch, sends it to right. It's 2-0.
One thing, play for the Yankees. The 3-2. That one's drilled deep to left field. Going back, Joyce, looking up, see ya! 3,000, history with an exclamation point. Oh, what a way!
And there's another story. I'm playing against the Giants. Guy that went to the big league, Sherman. Lefty, great screwball. He threw it to me and froze me with a 1-1 count. And I looked down at third base. Walt Reniak looks at me and says, "It's a screwball, no."
I have a special love for this man, Walt Reniak. My favorite hitting coach of all time.
I never saw one before. I'm ready for it, and he throws it again, and I'm just telling myself, be sharp and drop it on that ball. Because with the breaking ball, we want to be able to go on the freeway ramp with it, not try to meet its shifts in the night. It's harder to do. Not impossible, but harder to do, making it tougher for you to be consistent as a hitter. So he throws it to me, and I swing and I catch it, but I missed a lot of it. And all of a sudden, I look up, and it's a line drive over the shortstop's head into left field for a base hit. And it wasn't ripped, but it was a liner. And I'm on first base going, I missed most of that ball. How the hell did I line that out there? And so I started to look for the answer, and that is the answer. The angle of attack that I learned from Ted Williams dictates the flight of the ball, which makes sense. My bat's out in front, I'm going to pull it to right field. Right here, I'm locking on it to center. Right there, it's going this way. But the angle of attack also dictates its flight by the spin. And anybody throwing curveballs, or somebody wants to keep a tennis ball in the court, they come up over the ball, it has top spin and it sinks. Guys, people like Venus Williams and Serena Williams hit the ball 140 miles an hour and keep it on the court because that spin won't let it run off. Well, now, do we want to keep it on the court, or do we want to knock it as far off the court as we can in baseball? Well, you're answering my question. How do I do that? What kind of spin? Backspin. You can either put it on by accident, or you can train yourself to do like Henry Aaron and Clemente and those hitters of the past, is to do it on purpose. Now, funny thing happens. Out of 1,000 fastballs that we swing at, if we miss 999 of them, the ball will always sneak over the bat. And pop flies are the same way. Often you will think that you're late, but you're really not. Your timing's great, but you just didn't sight your sights on top of that ball to get most of it. And after a while, it gets difficult to miss. And all these wonderful things start to happen. You take away the pitcher's speed. You can get off the plate and make the breaking ball friendlier. And I don't want you to believe any of these things. There's many more. I want you to take the stance like, I'm out of my mind and it doesn't work, and then let's hit through 3 buckets of balls and watch what happens and see what the ball wants to do. And if after that I was wrong, I'll openly admit it, and I'll tell every person and hitter I know after that to swing the way you taught me to today. But I got to warn you, I've been looking for 53 years now, and I haven't found a better way to do it. So let's give it a shot.
Trouble in Seattle. A lot of the Seattle pitchers were throwing him upstairs with good fastballs. That time he stayed on top of that high fastball and hit it sharply into left field.
Just 22 times now has a hitter had 3 5-hit games in a season. Birdie stays put. This one in the air, out toward right, and he got it! Big old bat flip for Luis Arraez on his 3rd homer of the year.
Man, it is fun to watch him. You guys think I'm a little slap hitter going away? No, how about this? I'm ahead in the count. I'm going to get my pitch to hit, and I'm going to turn and burn.
So I believe that Major League Baseball players are being taught the wrong thing with launch angles. I believe the same thing is true for college players, and especially the 2 million boys and girls that are playing Little League today across the United States. Let me just start by saying that if you miss 10 swings on fastballs up at the belt, 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, you're gonna swing underneath the baseball. Okay, underneath the baseball. That's how you miss the baseball. Now, why would I want to teach a young kid to think with a Ferris wheel and create more launch angle? Launch angle is great if you're Tiger Woods playing in the Masters, not for consistent contact, okay? What you really want to do is work more, think less about launch angle and think more line to line. Everyone always talks about how do I beat the shift? Well, you don't beat the shift by north and south. You beat it by east and west. Think about going line to line. You want to know how you get the ball up? Let me tell you how you get the ball up. That's the ball like that. This is launch angle. What's the fastest way from point A to point B? Straight down to the ball. Straight down to the ball. It's not this way. That's a long, slow swing. If they throw a ball right up here, right at the belt, it's called a big blind spot, the size of a beach ball, because he's throwing the ball straight here and you're doing this Ferris wheel. Not conducive for contact, not conducive for winning, okay? How you get the ball up in the air is actually you swing down to get the ball up. Just like in golf, you swing down to get backspin, and that's how you hit the ball out to right center field and left center field. If this bat is here, don't dip it. Keep that head up. Keep that head up. And then when you come down at the ball, this knee goes straight down to the ground. I've had a lot of home runs where my knee almost hits the ground. This way. You swing down by getting your legs underneath you with leverage. That's how you pop the ball out. That's how you hit home runs, kids. With your legs not with this ridiculous launch angle. What happens with a launch angle? At the age of 30, they send you home, because if you can't catch up to this fastball, you're done. Think about some of the great hitters of our generations, from George Brett to Wade Boggs to Paul O'Neill or Bernie Williams, some modern day players more like Derek Jeter or Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, all players that can put the ball in play consistently. If you think about the last 3 out of 4 teams that have won a championship, all 3 of them, #1 in contacts, last in strikeouts. Contact would never go out of style. So if you're a young man out there, if you're a young girl playing baseball or softball, hit the ball hard, line to line. You'll never be out of a job. Some of you guys are going to say, what about Daniel Murphy or Justin Turner? Well, those are 2 great examples. World-class eye, world-class discipline, and world-class hand-eye coordination. That's not you.